Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Pin Tool Podcast. My name is Al Wayman, owner of Creek Road Pottery in Laceyville, Pennsylvania, next to the cold Tuscarora Creek. Pull up a chair around the wheel as we discuss topics concerning the art and craft of pottery, good books, storytelling, marketing, and creating work that matters for folks who care. I just wanted to come on and do a live stream. Hopefully, everything is connected. And hopefully this works. So I haven't done too many of these, and normally I would do these on the wheel, making pots as I chatted. But Facebook has been something different as of late. They've not allowed me to keep my videos up for a while, and that's a bit disappointing. So I may just need to move back to YouTube, which was something that I've done in the past, right? So I think this is my first or second live feed here on the Substack. And I want to say that I am very grateful to you, the reader and the subscriber, right? I only write for one person, myself, and one other person, and that is you, right? I write for me first. And I write to get things out of my brain, influenced a whole lot by the ideas of the marketing expert and author Seth Godin, because his ideas resonate with me as a creator, and using empathy, generosity, and gratitude to bring people in with my story that I'm trying to tell, hopefully before I pass on, right? Because if you don't create that story and talk about it, somebody else will. And they may not tell it the way that you want, right? If you leave that up to somebody else. So here I am, limited time. It's all limited time. So at the bottom of every post, I think I'm over 540 of them now, last I checked. A lot of them, the majority of them, you will see if I live to be 86, how many days I have left. That's put in there to create a sense of urgency. And that was inspired by the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's an amazing book. And apart from the pots and apart from working at the big paper factory, I love books. I love reading. I love world religion, mythology, and probably one of the biggest influences way back on both my work and my ideas about my life was the book Power of the Myth by Joseph Campbell. I ended up becoming a huge Joseph Campbell fan, and that was well over 25 years ago now. And I ran into the works of Joseph Campbell by a professor of world religion when I was at Keystone Junior College for art. And that whole thing was an amazing experience, and one that I'll never forget. Right. So the professor there, she allowed us to come and sit in on the class, even if we didn't pay. And she said, you can come in, you could even sleep in here if you want, because like Carl Jung, she believed that you would absorb what she was saying subconsciously, right? And it was just an amazing experience. So after that, I started collecting the works of Joseph Campbell and reading. And then I had this huge, I don't want to say reformation of my thinking, where I moved from, I used to be a part of a evangelical fundamentalist group, which was very conservative, very strict, right? And so I ended up leaving that. I studied fundamentalism because I wanted to learn more about what that was. And I also, during that time, studied ancient Near Eastern texts and world religion. And I read a lot of the background source material for that. Beautiful, amazing text. Read Dead Sea Scrolls. Got a chance to go to Egypt and tour the temples, and that was a very beneficial for me. So where I'm at now, I am a little past midlife. So I am a little bit further along where Dante started the Inferno, where he found himself and he was troubled, right? Before he started the journey. And we're all on a hero's journey. I write about a lot about that in the writings. And also, anything we create is a hero's journey in some way. So I'm going to be going through some questions that people have asked me in the past, and I've kind of kept them over time. So we're gonna talk about a little bit about that, like my creative origin and my motivation. I just touched on that lightly, but here's a question: what's the first pot you ever made that really meant something to you? And do you still have it? Yes. All my early work are in Mom's china cabinet. Dad now has the house. Mom is in a skilled nursing facility. We go and take care of her. Mom is age 90, but she kept all my early work. And in that china cabinet, there is a blue pouring pitcher, which is one of the first larger pieces I did in 1996 in Bill Terste's ceramics class for Ceramics 2. And we were working with larger cylinder forms. And back then, I remember I went to the library and the internet was just starting to come on. We took classes on how to use the internet and how to do searches. So there were some pottery discussion groups, but nothing like we have today. And I signed out this old-timey book, and it showed how to make a pouring pitcher. So I was able to throw a decent size. I think it was like 3.5 pounds. And I put a little spout on it, made the handle, and then glazed it in blue. I had some iron oxide designs on it, and we fired that out in Bill's gas kiln. So that was pretty amazing. So that was one of my first pots. My parents still have it. And when I go back home, I usually see all those old pots and revisit those. So, question number 2 is a good question. You often say, make work that matters. Can you share what really means to you on a hard day in the studio? So, a lot of times on a hard day, I think about all the people who've enjoyed the work and the people that I was able to help out based from funds from selling the work, and the lives that were changed through those donations, right? So it might be something simple, like maybe you were having a bad time, or somebody was broke and they weren't able to pay their electric bill, and they were a single parent, right? They just needed a little bit of something to push them over the edge, to be able to have breathing room. And that's what the work here does. So everything that is with the pots is not the whole thing. I have 21 key activities I do here at the pottery, and a lot of things I do in the background is charity work, right? Being generous with gratitude and empathy, and trying to bring that into the community. So that's why it creates work that matters, and it's for people who care, right? So if you buy the pots, you're supporting that kind of work that matters. The story, you're part of the story, and you chose to be here. It's not for everybody, and I don't make pots for everybody. Just like my writings, I make pots for myself and one other person, and that might be you. So let's see. Was there a moment when you almost gave up on pottery? What pulled you back in? Yes. There was a moment where I did not have a studio. So it was right after school. I was working to pay down student loans. And it was really hard because I had to put everything in storage. All my little kilns went in storage. And I was living at the little pottery, and things were not going well there because a lot of different things happened that made that experience not so good on the last part of it. Um, but overall, the apprenticeship there for the 2 years making pots was just amazing, and I learned so much. And I still have a lot of respect for the artist who was there. And it was an amazing time at the all women's pottery. And so from that, I did give it up for a while because I had to think through, is this something that I really wanted to do um, in light of the negative experiences that I had with that. So after some time off, I decided to go back to school, finish my degree, and get a BFA at Marywood University under Matt Povsey. And now his kiln, his wood kiln, is the one that I'm building. He gave it to me along with his assistant Nan, and we are putting it up here at my place, which is an amazing circle to kind of complete. So that's how I ended up leaving pottery for a while. That's when I did all the reading on world religion and all the Joseph Campbell studies, all the studies on Carl Jung and all those people. And so when I came back into it, I I was able to have different tools to tell stories with the work. And I'm still working on that. So let's talk a little bit about, can you walk us through a typical day in the studio? Um, Especially with your paper factory job schedule. Yes. So in my idea of it, you do not need permission to be a writer. You do not need permission from anybody else to be a potter. Writers write, runners run, potters make pots. It doesn't matter what you do outside of that also. So part of this whole process is dictated right around my work schedule, which are 12-hour rotating days between nights and days. 2-2-3 schedule. So that means sometimes I will only have, like today, I have a day and a half off. Then I need to be back in Thursday morning. And then I'll work Thursday day, 12 hours, Friday day, 12 hours on the 4th of July. And then I'll have Saturday off. So you'll have a 3-day weekend. So all of that dictates what kind of pots I make, the forms I make, how I get them dry. And a lot of times it feels very rushed because I have limited amount of time. So that has forced me to come up with ways to be innovative and efficient as much as I can be. So that means working with clay bodies that may be able to dry fast, figuring out how to create a warming box to warm pots fast, figuring out ways and the limitations on the clay body for the firing process, faster ways and efficient ways of glazing and decorating the pots. And I think even gravitating towards the gas, the gas updraft kilns, because every pot comes out looking a little bit different because of the way the flame hits it. So that helps me be more efficient because I don't need to design every single pot. I can just dunk them all in the same glaze, throw them all in the same kiln, and have the firing schedule and the firing techniques of the gas kilns dictate what the pots look like when they come out. And it's an amazing thing. It's very efficient to do. So now I'm starting to get into creating larger forms, and because I have larger kilns now, and I'm able to try to be more efficient with those. So I've been taking a class with Amy the Potter out of California, and it's a 9-month intensive cohort with 25 other students. And so I've been learning quite a bit with that. And it was like, even though I've been throwing for years, it was like learning pots all over again, using her techniques and style. She's very good with the production part of it, and that's something that I needed. So I'm slowly getting through that with work, along with the kiln building, and along with all the other things that are going on. The small shows, have a few small shows coming up. So that is all dictated by my work schedule. Now, work uh, at the big paper factory has also been a positive thing as far as understanding the business side of things when I create the art, because everything that they teach us there, as far as the integrated work systems um, and the preventative maintenance things, all those ideas, troubleshooting, I apply what I can here as a small business in creating the pots. And the only thing that holds me back is me not having an inventory, because working at the paper factory for the last 18 years has drilled into my head that when you order a thing, you make it and ship it, you don't store it. So everything is kind of like make to ship, and I have no inventory of pots. So if I'm having a show, I say, well, I need 120 pots to fill a table. I need 250 pots to fill my little building for this little local show that I'm doing where people will come. I will do that and then maybe not make for a little while until the next show is scheduled. So I always need things scheduled to create making. I don't have an inventory. However, I'm trying to change that because that does not work for small business, and it makes me feel very stressed. Simply because I don't have the automation and everything. But what I have learned from that and not storing, it helped me streamline my glazes, because I have one base glaze that I use and just add oxides. So I'm saving on storage space. I'm thinking about more ways to be efficient on how I make the pots, um, doing runs of pots that are almost the same. So I'm not constantly going back and forth between different forms. So when I make mugs, I might make 36, like a kiln load of mugs or more, and then get into bowls, make a bunch of those, and then fire them all in separate um, tumble stacked at times for the first firing, and then all glazed all together. So when I do things to create for shows, it's all made as part of a family. And so that adds a certain style. They all look like cousins through all the pieces. And that has made it a lot of fun to work with, very efficient. And so some of the part of production work, production planning has gone into my small business. So um, let's see, another question. What's your favorite part of the process? Throwing, trimming, glazing, or firing? Firing, for sure. I enjoy firing the Olympic updraft kilns. I like figuring out the different firing schedules, what I can do with those, and how I can manipulate the pots. Um, Layering with carbon trapping, which means you're smoking out the kiln and you're having some of that smoke be trapped in the glaze on top of the color, which is on top of texture patterns. And so you get this layering effect, and also how the flame hits it, a modeling effect. So if you look at a mug, there are multiple layers to it. And so I'm trying to build those layers. Right now, I have some ideas floating of maybe putting some language. I have done Hebrew pots, but I want some of those sayings, maybe from the Epic of Gilgamesh, cuneiform, underneath those glazes. So people who know, like that, like that one person who studied ancient Near Eastern texts, would be like, "Oh man, this is from the Epic of Gilgamesh," and
So I would like to do that. And then layer things over top. So yeah, so that's kind of like what I enjoy most about the pottery process is the firing. Let's see. Do you have any studio rituals before you start making? Music, coffee, quiet, or chaos? That's a good question. I think that right now it's just coffee. Um, because for the most part, when I come into a project, it may be because of work, a little bit late getting started, or because I need to relax mentally, right? So then it appears that I am procrastinating. And then I need to do this um, large work, large body of work marathon. Sometimes I may stay up all night throwing and just to get work done. And then what comes out of that is, and even the firing is dictated around, like I was saying before, work and my time off and what I can possibly get done with time and money. Because time and money always limit what you can do with projects, right? There's a beginning, middle, and end. And a lot of times I find if I have open ended projects, I may not, um, if there's no finish time, right? If I don't put a deadline, they last forever. so, so I need deadlines for sure. Let's see here. So, how did you get into carbon trapping and gas firing? What draws you to those techniques? So, way back at the all women's pottery, I got this little gas kiln and it was so easy to hook up. I did not need to pay for electric or anything. I could just hook it up to two 20-pound tanks and fire out a raku firing or do a cone 6 firing um, mid range with that little kiln. And it was funny. You could fit 3 shelves in it. You could fire 12 bowls at a time because you put 4 bowls for a shelf and there was 3 shelves. But I could put 30 mugs in there. So I still have it. And it's still going strong. I use it for raku now. But that's how I first got into firing gas was at the all women's pottery firing raku. So that was a lot of fun. And I think that when I got into carbon trapping, I had a bunch of wood sitting on my kiln for some reason, like these wood chips. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I were to throw these wood chips down the hole on shutdown and then cover it up and let it smoke out in there, if I could get some kind of reduction. And most of the carbon trapping that people do happens at lower temperatures. So I wasn't even sure if I would be able to capture that into the glaze. And for sure, I was able to. So if you hang on a second, I'll show you one of those. So this is an example. This is an example of carbon trapping. See all that smoke in there? And this is done with reduction, a high copper glaze. And this is a little teacup that I made. It's kind of like maybe a Japanese inspired teacup. And so all those smoke lines get into the clay body, into the glaze, and it gets trapped there. So I've been working with that for quite some time now and trying different things, trying different combustibles down the center, closing it off, and also different firing schedules. So I may add combustibles halfway through the firing and then more later. So I'm practicing with the techniques. Not all of them work. So, and I have a lot of practice pots. Maybe I should just try the tests on 1 or 2 pots in the little kiln before I do a whole load. But usually it's like, oh, I got this load firing. Maybe I should try this time. And yeah, so it might not be a healthy or a good way to do it, but that's how I've been. Working with the carbon trapping. So let's see. So, what's something your pots say without words? Like, what do you want people to feel when they hold them? Um, I think that the idea of somebody taking something that you took time, it's kind of like when people read the work that you write. There's a lot of writers here on the stacks. Um, that it's meaningful and that you're being generous to take the time with somebody to use their work. So they're being generous by creating, and you're being generous by using it. And I think that exchange is pretty amazing. And I don't make work for everybody, only the people who care. And many writers here, we don't write for everybody. Some people may not like our work, and that's fine. They can go read the other person's work. And so, same with my pots. And I think that if I'm able to ha- have people appreciate the time and effort that you put into something and then say, hey, I made this, that's an amazing thing. So, just sitting here right now, I am seeing some purples in this. So, you can, in broad daylight, if you look at these pots, you could have these for years and still discover something new. Yeah, I got some purple in this. All right, so let's see. Is there a form you keep coming back to, a shape that feels like home? Mugs. Mugs are the staple, right? If you're going to eat and you're a potter, you better make mugs because mugs pay the bills. And there's a million ways to make a mug, and I've only seen a few. So it's a good thing that people collect mugs, okay? I don't need to copy anybody else's mug. Some people might, but there's a million ways to do it. So mugs is the form that I always come back to. I always enjoy throwing mugs. Um, Handling can make you swear a little bit, but mugs, yeah, lots of mugs. All right. So, oh, here's a good question. You've written the Pottery Dailies for over a year now. What have you learned about yourself through that discipline? So, Seth Godin says that everybody should write a book. Um, so writing every day has allowed me to put down my thoughts on what I'm thinking about and come back and look at those later because it's like a document that I was there. I was thinking about this thing at this time, and I wanted to share that in some way, both with myself for later and with others who care, right? So even if nobody read these things, this is for me, for my self development, right? And that's an amazing thing to think about. So since I've been doing that, um, I've been getting a lot of the things that I've thought about out of my head and develop it more later on if I ever make it back to read a lot of the things that I wrote. So my big plan, it's got motorcycles going. So my big plan is to at some point, maybe after 3 or 4 years, take some of the better things. I'm not sure what that would be, and maybe put it in a book uh, for potters, the Pottery Dailies, in a hard copy book, along with some of the pictures of the process and the work. Like I post images all the time about the process and work, and I may have one of the largest pottery blogs on Substack. Now, I didn't realize that until I just said it, but with over 540 posts, each post containing images of authentic images of my own work. Yeah, it just might be, but that's nothing to brag about. Simply because I'm not on here to be the biggest. Because if my goal was to be the biggest, I would stop right now because you met the goal. My goal is something else. My goal is to get my thoughts down and allow a few other people. Got bugs on my keyboard here. allow a few other people to enjoy those also, and maybe prompt them to do something or to make a change that they seek to make. All right. How does your writing and your making influence each other? Are they separate or intertwined? Definitely intertwined, because I write about what I think, and I also create pots while thinking about it, and you can't help those ideas coming through your hands. So a lot of experimenting, a lot of layering, a lot of texture. So like in that movie, what's that movie where onions have layers? Shrek. Onions have layers, and I'm a bit layered. Let's see. Have you ever surprised yourself with something you wrote? Like it told you something you didn't know? Let's see. Like it told you something you didn't know until you wrote it down. Oh, yeah. So there'd be times when I got up before work and I'm writing and I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good insight, Al. And I kind of give myself a pat on the back. However, you would think that in your mind, oh, people are going to love this post. And it might only get like one or two responses, but still that's enough. But you should never let your arm get sore from patting yourself on the back, because you're not finished. You still have one to write tomorrow. So you keep going. But there are insights that do happen from writing the many rather than perfecting the few, right? Just like making pots. You practice and you learn from making the many rather than perfecting the few. All right, community connection. We're almost there. I don't know how long this has been going on. What has been your favorite interaction with a customer or collector? So, being on the trails here local with other local businesses allow people to come to my studio and to my little pottery shop. So it has put my pottery on the map and my work on the map, and I am very appreciative of that. And so over the last probably 8 years, I've been selling on the trails. They're kind of dying down now as businesses and the organizers change and people decide to do other things. So I'm in charge of my own trail now, stepping into that leadership role. And at times, it can be a challenge because you're not sure how it's going to go. And I've learned from making work that kind of tension is a positive thing, though, because as an artist, you should be constantly doing things that might not work. If we all did things that we knew worked, a lot of times we would just stay with things that we feel comfortable with and not learn new things at all. We're just copying other people. So that's what I don't want to do. I want to, create community here, create interaction here, tell stories here, create stories. The story that the person who buys your work tells themselves, the story they tell themselves when they use it, the story they tell somebody else if they enjoy it, and the story you try to tell when you make it and sell it to them. And not all works that smooth, that process of storytelling, but I try to go for it. All right. Philosophy. Oh, do you feel like your audience has changed over time? Yes. Right now, I'm getting involved with the wood kiln community because the kiln is going up. The kiln is going up right over there. So, those people have been very interesting and kind and helpful. So I'm learning more about that. So, if you could make one pot a day for the rest of your life, would that be enough? No, because there's so many layers to myself. Just making the pot, one pot a day, would be interesting practice, right? However, I would still need to read books. I would still need to interact with community because I'm a people person and I enjoy people very much. I enjoy their stories. Like I could sit in an old timey diner, drink coffee and listen to older people talk and gossip about politics, all kinds of stuff all day. And matter of fact, down in Laceyville, they have a handmade mug for me. And after night shift, sometimes I go there and get a coffee. And it's the best thing in the world. Coffee and a pancake. Let's see. You reference philosophy a lot. Marcus Aurelius, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Tao. How have these ideas shaped what comes out of your hands? Those ideas are just accepting what happens. So for me, there's no such thing as kiln gods. Up to a point, you have skill and technique that you can influence the materials to come out a certain way. And then after that, you have to just accept what's going to happen. And it's like that in life. I am not going to live forever. My life is a project, has a beginning, a middle, and end. And I need to think about that as a story, as the whole story. And I can pick and choose what I would like that story to say by the choices I make, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. And so all those amazing texts, there's hundreds of them. I have a pretty large library. Homer, man, the epics of Homer, and the Homeric poems, hymns, and the writings of Sophocles and Euripides, all amazing stuff about life and who you are. So that has a lot of influence on me. Virgil, the Aeneid, and even the ancient Near Eastern texts, the Baal texts, Canaanite literature, like I said before, Gilgamesh, and the Ugaritic texts. So I have read a lot of those. Let's see. What is something you failed at recently in the studio, and what did it teach you? Humility. So I think that you're always going to have cry pots that will go on your cry pile. And as I was saying before, if you're not trying things that might not work, you're not trying hard enough. And it's kind of like writers doing proofreading. And not everything that you write, a large portion of what you write, isn't going to get published or you would want read by other people, right? Like we could fill notebooks of things and then we proofread and then we put out there what we believe our best quality might be. And so some things happen by accident and some things happen tragically by accident, just like in our lives. So those pods are on a different pile. So they remain on that pile. I go through them and look at them because maybe I was going for something. I didn't get quite there, 90% there. And then I go back and retry that, right? So the cry pile is useful because you can go back and find things, just like we're going back through notebooks of writings and finding things that maybe we want to try to make better. And the only thing we can do in this life is try to make the good better, right? Every day we're creating something. It's a hero's journey creating, and every day we try to make the good better. All right, let's see. What are you most excited? Let's see. Looking ahead, what are you most excited about in your work right now? Any new directions or projects? Yeah, brewing. So I want to create 3 large fermenters and brew beer. And I have the space, the kiln space to fire out those fermenters. And I want to do it in an old-timey fashion. There are some old-time ancient Near Eastern beer fermentation recipes out there. So I want to try those. And I want to do it in handmade pots. And maybe when you come by, you can buy a mug and I'll put some beer in it for you to try. So that is what I'm working on now. I wanted to, as I said before, write cuneiform on pots or have it stamped on. I just need to get a decent section of the Epic of Gilgamesh, what tablet that might be, maybe create a stamp or a section of that in 3D printing to have it show up right on the pots, or learn cuneiform with a reed and poking the holes. It's very challenging to learn. I have all the material on how to learn it. My buddy Richard is an ancient Near Eastern guru. He has a huge library also, and he is the person that got me into the ancient Near Eastern text. And because he was in the class of the world religion class that I took way back, and Richard is amazing. So he loans me all kind of material, and he still does. Like way back he did, and he still does today. So I just need to talk to Richard. Let's see. If someone watching this wanted to start making pottery or build a creative life, what's one piece of advice you would give to them? Start now, right now. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. Yesterday's already gone. You could fall over right now and your story would not be told. All these people who wait to try things when they retire, you may not retire. You could fall over getting the mail, right? You could fall over getting the mail. So with every post that I write, I'm reminded if I live to be 86, I only have 13,008 days. 13,008 days. So if you think about that, start what you can now. Because if you start, the muse will help you. The muse only helps you and waits for you if you start. The muse helps you when you start with an action, the first action. Sometimes that first action is just showing up. So that's what I did here today. So hopefully you can start something. Do not wait. Do not wait. Time is far too short. And you only get one chance in this life. And time is all we have. You should spend it in the ways that you can tell your story if that's what you choose to do. Maybe we are fine helping others tell their story. Maybe we're fine with that. Maybe we're fine with just living our lives, going to the paper factory, working every day, and being not creating. However, for me personally, there's a sense of urgency to do all these things. And I need to get as much done to tell my story to the world. And that's what I'm doing here. Okay, friends, hopefully you enjoyed that. Take care and let me know. And stop over and say hello at Creek Road Pottery. And hit me up on the, say hi to the Pottery Dailies. And let me know what you think. So be well, take care. And remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking